What's a local legend horror story in your town everyone collectively believes or tells? That our local homeless guy, who is actually pretty famous, was on national TV a couple of times, was secretly a millionaire who went crazy when his wife died. Just a dumb story people tell because they think it's cool even though it's ridiculous. Edit. From all the people who recognize this story, tell every city in the world has their own juggling gym. Now I'm sad. Edit 2. I'm not from any of the places suggested. When he died, people gave so much money to make sure he had a proper funeral. Made me wonder where they all were when he was alive. Our local rehabilitation/nursing home has a former soap star from the 90s living there. He has no problem signing autographs, taking pictures, or talking about his Hollywood days, but no one has any clue how he ended up in a care facility in rural central Indiana. We had a tramp called Nobby who used to sleep in a bus shelter. Used to see him on the way to the football with my dad. He had golf clubs in the shelter and would take them to the local course and they'd let him play. Eventually, the council just built a new bus shelter 50 feet away so Nobby could have his peace. His shelter was even given its own postcode. The prevailing story was always that he was once a wealthy man with a wife and daughter and a lovely house, but one night whilst he was working late, a fire ripped through the house, killing his family. After that, he refused to live in a house. One day, he disappeared. Dropped off the face of the earth. People were concerned, but it eventually emerged that he was persuaded by the council to move into sheltered housing, and at least as of a year or so ago he is alive and well. Obviously a lot of the stories are not 100% true, but still, he was a fixture in the community for a long time and I'm happy that he's safe and well, to the best of my knowledge. We have the Bandage Man. It's basically a story of a guy who either got cut up, fell into a wood chipper, got into a fight with a bear, it really depends on who you ask, and now wanders the woods along the highway, covered in bandages. If you are unlucky enough to pull over, he'll get in your car and kill you. I just recently saw a flyer on the bulletin board at the local post office asking for people's stories so someone can make a mockumentary. Why would anyone pull over? There's an incident they talk about on My Favorite Murder that was featured on a show called I Survived, about a girl who was raped in a forest by some guy who picked her up hitchhiking. He tried to kill her, ended up cutting off both of her arms and pushing her down a small ravine then drive off. Somehow she had the strength to find her way to the main road and walk along it waiting for a car to pick her up. But the thing was, she was a naked woman, covered in blood, with no arms, walking along a deserted road. The first car that passed was two guys, and apparently they were so freaked out that they kept going. The second car was a couple on their honeymoon and they pulled over to bring her to safety. I guess my point is, Bandage Man or whatever could be the scariest looking thing ever, but you wouldn't want to drive by and risk hearing about some poor murder victim who could have been saved if someone had helped them. There's an old summer camp far into the woods near my town. Every kid that goes there learns the story of Skibo Bates. When the camp first opened they had a big bonfire for all the kids that night, and some of them started picking on poor young Skibo. He gets shoved and trips into the fire, which sets his clothes up and in flames, and he runs from the beach into the large lake the camp was built near. They never found him that night or recovered his body. The counselors all say if you sneak out of your cabins at night, Skibo will find you and take his revenge. Yes, I know it's bullshit to scare and keep the young kids in their cabins at night. We had something similar at a summer camp I went to, Buckethead. He was supposedly a janitor who worked at the camp, carrying around a lead bucket and mop to clean up. One day, his bucket fell in the pool and he dived in to get it. In the process, though, the bucket accidentally went over his head and he couldn't get it off. Eventually he got lead poisoning, went insane, and now roams the woods around camp at night, eager to kill anyone he gets his hands on. My high school is cursed. Every year, there was one suicide and one death from car crash every single year. My older sisters went there before me for 5 years. I went for 4 years, and according to the alumni Facebook page, they haven't missed a year since I graduated. In total that is nearly 13 years, and 26 dead kids. And I know I heard about the curse before my sister even went there, so who knows how big the total is. I wonder if the legend is a self-fulfilling prophecy from a suicide standpoint. Knowing that someone else did it makes it easier sort of thing. There is a road in a wooded area near where I live, and the street is literally called Hairy Man Road. Legend goes that there was a kid who was separated from his family when they were trying to escape some bad weather in the 1800s. He ended up surviving alone in the woods and terrorized people who would come through. Eventually he was trampled to death by some horses passing by that he tried to scare. I forget how weird the name of the road is until I have to say it out loud. There are Hairy Man festivals each year in my town, and the hairiest man legit wins a prize. So weird, LMAO. Lol, I'm giggling at the thought of a Hairy Man festival. There's an urban legend in my town about a bus full of children in the 70s that went up Gold Camp Road, this narrow, dirt incline into the mountains, and went over the side, killing everyone on the bus. Legend has it that if you drive up that road and park your car where the bus went over the side, you'll get little handprints all over your car from the ghost children. It's amazing to me how many locals still believe this story. I remember my friend doing this and awaiting the handprints. She said they never came, much like those kids. Thank you for watching.